Companies that operate in more than one language generate 1.5 times more revenue than their monolingual competitors. 1.5 times more. Not a small edge, a massive, compounding advantage that plays out year after year. And yet, most professionals spend zero time thinking about which language will actually move the needle for their career or their business. That ends today. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover exactly which languages give you the highest return on investment in the global business world, why the obvious answers are not always the right answers, and which language is quietly becoming the single most valuable skill in international commerce right now. One of the languages on this list will genuinely surprise you, not because it is obscure, but because most people completely underestimate how much economic power it carries. Let us start with the foundation. Language is not just communication. It is access. Access to markets, to clients, to negotiations, to trust. When you speak someone's language, even imperfectly, you are not just conveying information. You are signaling respect, cultural fluency, and long-term commitment. Studies from Harvard Business School have shown that deals negotiated in a person's native language close at a significantly higher rate than those conducted purely through translators or in a second language for both parties. The business case for language learning is not soft or theoretical. It is directly tied to revenue, retention, and market expansion. The global economy today operates across roughly 195 countries and thousands of distinct markets. But the majority of international business flows through a surprisingly small number of language corridors. Understanding which corridors carry the most traffic and which ones are growing fastest is the key to making a smart investment in your language education. So let us get into the languages themselves, starting with the one every single person already knows is important. English. Yes, it is still number one, and it is not particularly close. English is the official or co-official language of 67 countries. It is the language of international aviation, global finance, scientific publishing, and the tech industry. If you are watching this video, you already speak English, which means you already have access to the world's largest professional network. But here is what nobody talks about: English proficiency alone is no longer a competitive advantage. It is a baseline requirement. In 2024, speaking only English in a global business context is like showing up to a job interview and listing Microsoft Word as a special skill. It gets you in the room, but it does not close the deal. The real advantage comes from pairing English with one or more of the languages we are about to discuss. Mandarin Chinese. This one is not a surprise, but the scale of the opportunity still shocks most people. China has the second largest economy in the world by nominal GDP and the largest by purchasing power parity. Over 1.4 billion people speak Mandarin as their first language. More importantly, China is the world's largest exporter and one of the fastest growing consumer markets in sectors ranging from luxury goods to clean technology to pharmaceutical research. Business professionals who speak Mandarin and understand Chinese business culture, including the concept of guanxi, the relationship-based networking system that governs commerce in China, have access to opportunities that are simply invisible to everyone else. Mandarin is objectively one of the hardest languages for English speakers to learn. But the return on that investment is proportionally high. Spanish. Over 500 million native speakers across 21 countries. That alone makes it one of the most powerful linguistic assets on Earth. But the business case for Spanish goes beyond raw numbers. Latin America is one of the fastest growing regions for foreign direct investment. Countries like Mexico, Colombia, Chile, and Brazil's Spanish-speaking neighbors are attracting enormous interest from North American and European companies. The United States itself has over 40 million native Spanish speakers, making it the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. If you are in any industry with a footprint in the Americas, Spanish is not optional. It is essential. Arabic. Here is where things get interesting. Arabic is the official language of 22 countries and is spoken by over 420 million people. But the real business case is not about the population size. It is about the concentration of capital. The Gulf Cooperation Council, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman controls trillions of dollars in sovereign wealth, energy revenue, and infrastructure investment. These countries are aggressively diversifying their economies and are actively seeking foreign partnerships in technology, finance, healthcare, and tourism. Arabic-speaking professionals are extraordinarily rare in Western business environments. That scarcity, combined with the magnitude of Gulf investment, makes Arabic one of the highest leverage language skills available right now. German. Europe's largest economy and the fourth largest in the world runs primarily in German. Germany alone accounts for roughly 25% of the entire European Union's GDP. But the German-speaking business world extends beyond Germany to include Austria, Switzerland, and significant business communities in Eastern Europe. Germany is the global leader in engineering, automotive manufacturing, industrial machinery, and chemical production. Companies like Volkswagen, Siemens, BASF, and SAP are not just large, they are the backbone of entire global supply chains. If your work touches manufacturing, engineering, or European finance, German is an exceptionally practical investment. French. Do not underestimate this one. French is spoken in 29 countries across Europe, Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific. Critically, French is the dominant language across much of sub-Saharan Africa, a continent of 1.4 billion people with some of the fastest economic growth rates on the planet. Countries like Ivory Coast, Senegal, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Cameroon are experiencing rapid urbanization, expanding middle classes, and surging demand for consumer goods, financial services, and digital products. French-speaking Africa is one of the least saturated emerging markets available to international businesses today. For companies looking to get ahead of the curve, French is not a legacy language, it is a forward-looking investment. Portuguese. Specifically, Brazilian Portuguese. Brazil is the largest economy in Latin America, a top 10 global economy, and home to a dynamic startup ecosystem in cities like Sao Paulo and Belo Horizons. Portuguese also opens doors in Angola and Mozambique, two African nations with significant natural resource sectors and growing foreign investment interest. Portuguese speakers in global business are rarer than Spanish speakers, which paradoxically increases their value in competitive hiring and international negotiations. Japanese. Japan has the third largest economy in the world and is one of the most innovative business environments on Earth, particularly in robotics, electronics, and precision manufacturing. But Japan is also one of the most linguistically closed major economies. English penetration in Japanese business culture is relatively low compared to other developed nations. This means that foreign professionals who speak Japanese have a disproportionately large advantage. Breaking into the Japanese market without Japanese language skills is genuinely difficult. With them, the doors open considerably faster. Now let us talk about what this all means in practical terms. Choosing a language to learn for business is a strategic decision, and like any strategy, it should be driven by where you are, where your industry is heading, and where the gaps are. If you are in finance and your firm has growing relationships with Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds, Arabic is your answer. If you are in manufacturing supply chains, German and Mandarin are the obvious choices. If you are in consumer goods or retail and your markets are in the Americas, Spanish is a no-brainer. If you are looking at emerging market growth over the next 20 years, French and Portuguese are your long-term bets. But here is what nobody talks about when it comes to business language learning: you do not need to be fluent to generate value. Research consistently shows that even intermediate proficiency, enough to hold a basic conversation, read key documents, and understand cultural context, dramatically improves professional outcomes. The goal is not to pass a university exam. The goal is to build enough competence that your counterparts feel seen, respected, and more comfortable doing business with you. The professionals who invest in language skills are not just learning words and grammar. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Langbridge for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.